The tale of two Chinese radios, this time on the channel.
When I grow up, I want to be a buswang. Shut up and eat your triple A's.
So the Baofeng UV5R certainly needs no introduction, and to date it's been the most popular, cheap, entry-level HT on the market.
Welcome.
And the Tidradio TD-H3, also not been out for very long, but a very popular radio, needs no introduction either. Or not much of one anyway. And before I go any further, Randy, I hope I did that right. So I bought this radio and promised myself that I wouldn't do a review of it because there's enough of those out there already. But after using it for a little bit, I do want to do a comparison to kind of the gold standard of the cheap HT that's out there. So I'm going to compare this radio a little bit with the H3 and see how they compare on receive at least. What led me down this path is I was looking for a battery for the UV5R that I could charge with USB-C, because I do like to throw this in the car. If I have a car that does not have a UHF-VHF mobile, I will grab one of these and I'll grab a mobile antenna that has an SMA adapter, and I'll just throw those two items in the car just in case there's an emergency and I need to be able to use 2 meter or 70 centimeter or GMRS. I have a way to do that. And the problem was the UV5R, when you buy them, has this as the charger. And there's, you know, it's kind of clumsy and bulky to be plugging something like this into a vehicle. So I thought, okay, I'll get a USB-C chargeable battery, which I know they exist. But in my search for USB-C chargeable battery, I realized that for a few more dollars, I could get this that not only charges by USB-C, it also programs by USB-C. And it's kind of an interesting little radio in its own right. So what we're going to do today is just compare the receive capability of both these radios side by side. And I want to see how they compare. And we'll give it a fair shot. I've got better antennas, a better antenna that I could put on either one of these radios to even things out a little bit. So I'm going to get on. Today's a good day for repeater traffic. So I'm going to fire up both radios to them to the respective repeaters. Actually, I'll probably just scan because there's more than one repeater that I want to listen to. There's a 2 meter repeater and there's a 70 centimeter repeater. And we'll let both radios receive both of those nets that run on Monday night here and see how they compare.
Mark the radios on and off. Rather frequently. Whenever they're using talk here, they start to go, holy crap, that's way hot. Carpet in that area.
So the early indication is the TID radio has a better receiver in it. But let's not leave anything to chance. Let's go ahead and switch these antennas. And if you didn't know, all of these antennas have the frequency that they operate on, usually right there where it screws into the radio. And that seems to be true with all of them that I've seen so far. So you can see that it'll tell us what frequencies it operate on. And all three of these antennas seem to be good for 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and GMRS, from what I can see. But for now, we're just going to switch them. And we'll try the same test. So still, even with the antenna situation reversed, it appears like the Tidradio is able to lock onto signals a little better than the Baofeng. So let's give the Baofeng an unfair advantage. And it still does not equal the Tidradio. The Tidradio is still better. Sorry, Baofeng.
I'm getting tired of your meddling. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. I'm giving you 24 hours to get out.
Now let's see how good this radio is with a better antenna.
Next is WF021.
This repeater is about 40 miles away.
Next is W7TMO, Tom.
This is Whiskey 7, Tango Mike Oscar. You're loud and clear and scenic. No traffic.
That's Tom. Next is WA7UEA, Don.
WA7 traffic. Red signal.
Thank you, Don. Next is WD0USI, Rick.
WD0USI checking in. No traffic.
Thank you, Rick. Check in for myself. Next is KE7VLT, Stan.
And clearly better with the longer antenna. So yes, I am quite impressed with this little radio for what it is and for what I paid for it, which is less than $30. It's going to fulfill what I'm looking for, which is just a cheap, disposable, and dare I say, throwaway radio that I can throw in the car and connect an adapter. So just connect an adapter there, SMA to SO239. Yeah, that way you can hook an in-mobile antenna with a magnet mount to it, and it will work reasonably well in an emergency. So, yeah, so far I like this little radio, and I will do some more experimentation with it and see how good it really is. So one thing I've noticed is the scanner function. It doesn't scan quite as fast as the Baofeng does. The Baofeng is a little speedier when scanning channels. And as far as programming goes, you can use Chirp for either radio. And it's kind of nice because I just took the channel list for this and I imported it into this radio, which worked just fine. So these have exactly the same frequencies in them. And this is the ham version of the H3. You can get a GMRS version of this same radio. The only difference being the FCC ID is suffixed with a G. And in retrospect, that's probably the better radio to get because it would be legal for GMRS. And of course, these radios are notorious for So with the GMRS version of this radio, you could do that and select ham or normal. And then if you wanted to turn it back into a GMRS radio, just select option 2, and it effectively turns itself back into a GMRS radio, which isn't technically legal. Because according to the FCC rules, once you modify a radio to do other than GMRS, you cannot modify it to go back. But then again, how would they know? So, interesting that these radios are doing this now, and I'm curious to see what the FCC does about it. But in the firmware, it becomes a GMRS radio again. It's not like you're turning it into a radio that can do GMRS and ham. That would be position 3, of course, but kind of a neat feature. So, if I set this up with ham frequencies, and there's an emergency and I want somebody to have GMRS capability for communication, I can put this in GMRS mode, hand it to them, and it's effectively a channelized radio, which would be easy to use. So, kind of a neat feature.
Welcome.
When you do change modes, it will wipe out any memories that are in either radio, the Baofeng or this one. When you change modes, it wipes them out totally, so they're all gone. So all your presets would be gone. But with Chirp, that's not too big of a deal. So what do you think? Will the TD-H3 unseat the Baofeng as the kind of the gold standard of HTs? It just might. I mean, I believe that some of the new UV5Rs are coming with the ability to charge by USB-C, which wasn't around when the UV5R was first introduced. So UV5Rs back then had the old style docking station for charging, but everything is converting to USB-C now, which is kind of handy because one plug will fit a phone or this HT or a laptop or many other different items. So it's kind of nice to be able to charge the radio in the car with a single cable instead of a docking station. So I like the radio. I think it's pretty cool. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.